During holiday travel, some people get delirious, some get delayed, and some get Del Griffin.
American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
Neil Page got all three.
I was on my way home to spend a nice holiday with my family. Instead, I'm in a motel bed with a stranger.
So instead of Thanksgiving with his family, he's spending 3 days with the turkey.
Two happy clams just whistling down the road.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the Marconi family.
Paramount Pictures presents Steve Martin.
Ever been to Hawaii?
Yeah.
You see Don Ho while you were there?
See the second show. That's the best one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
John Candy.
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows.
In a new film by John Hughes. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game.
Hello, I'm Katie, and this is Retromade, your pop culture rewind. Today, we go back to 1987, a fine year, for another brilliant dose of John Candy and John Hughes for a Thanksgiving classic, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Today, I'm happy to welcome back to the show. Last season, you joined for Black Dog. We covered Black Dog with Patrick Swayze. Welcome back to the show, Scott Murphy. How are you doing?
Good. Yes. Thank you very much for having me back on the show, Katie.
I know you from All 90s Action all the time, and I know you had a New Horror Express show that was kind of coming to a close the last we spoke, but do you have a new project upcoming as well?
Yes. So New Horror Express ran for about 6 years between 2018 and 2024. It was a horror interview show. And yeah, I got my current project, All 90s Action all the time. And this is an exclusive for your podcast because I've not talked about this on other podcasts. And I've not done the social media page yet. So it'll be coming up very soon. I will also be joining you on the Director's Chair Network with a podcast looking at the films of Sam Peckinpah. And the podcast is going to be called Bloody Sam, a Peckinpah fan podcast. So that is coming. It won't debut until December, but the social media page, I've got artwork for it now. Really cool artwork I commissioned for somebody. And I'll probably put up a Facebook page in the upcoming weeks. Yes. So
I'm very excited about it. Hey, y'all heard it first here on Retromade. New show by Scott. That'll be fun. If you're listening to this and you are wondering what the Director's Chair Network is, there is an entire network. Just search on however you're listening to this for a podcast, the Director's Chair Network, and it'll pop up. And there are a number of shows hosted by people like Scott, people like me, people like Ryan, all sorts of different show hosts covering different types of directors. And if you're wondering why Retromade is on that, it's because this season is on John Hughes. So while he didn't direct all of the movies that are on this season, he did direct a number of them. So the John Hughes season is included on the Director's Chair Network. And if you're listening on the Director's Chair Network, come on over to Retromade. We've got other stuff too. Check us out. Okay. Now this season, Scott, we have a different format for the time capsule. So shall we open the time capsule from 1987?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to spin this on your behalf.
Okay, cool.
Ooh, it's on the line here. Pages of the past.
Oh, I do want to give a brief warning to your listeners that, I grew up in the UK and also in 1987, I would be too. So if I'm terrible at this game, I'm just going to put my excuses in early.
Fair point. So this is books and magazines, right?
Books and magazines, right.
And a lot of times they're super easy. So I'll try and give you, here's an easy one, and then I'll give you a harder one.
Okay.
In 1987, this popular children's magazine featured stories, poems, and puzzles, and was known for its Goofus and Gallant comic strip.
Goofus and Gallant?
It was a magazine.
It was a magazine?
Forget the Goofus and Gallant. I don't know what that's about.
Okay.
Just what's a children's magazine that you can think of? In like a dentist office.
Well, in the UK, the children's magazines would be like the Beano and the Dandy and stuff like that. I don't know.
Highlights. Would you have gotten it?
Highlights. Is that the name of the magazine?
Highlights. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Is that not in the UK?
No, it's not one I've come across in the UK. What type of magazine was it?
I don't know. Just kid
stuff. Just a kids magazine.
Just kid stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. Kid, like educational, I feel like. Yeah, I suppose. Okay.
Well, I failed the easy question. That's a great start. Brilliant.
That one, to be fair, that was a cultural difference. Okay. This one maybe will be a little easier. In this 1987 novel,
right,
a successful but lonely editor is kidnapped by his number one fan after a car crash.
Oh, Misery.
Yes.
Ah, yes. Stephen King. Got that. Great.
Yeah, pretty good. I'll give you one that I think is kind of hard, and then we'll move on to a different category. I don't know. This 1987 novel, which won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction the following year, centers on a story of a formerly enslaved woman haunted by the ghost of her child.
Is that Beloved, the Toni Morrison book?
It is. Very good, Scott. Very good. Yeah, I think you're doing pretty well here.
Right.
Let's get this wheel back up and spin her again. Back in the headlines. So these are big news stories for 97 or 87.
I think I would remember some of the news stories from 97, but
okay. Even if you're a small child, sometimes they're just like out there in
sure,
the
of course,
ether.
Gotcha.
In June of 1987, President Ronald Reagan gave one of his most famous speeches at the Brandenburg Gate in West Berlin. What was the iconic phrase he directed at the Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev? What did he famously direct him to do?
I feel like I should know this, but my mind is blanking at the moment.
The sentiment you will probably get, but the exact phrase is Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Right. Yes. No, I have heard that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I should have got that. Like, that's, fair enough.
What major financial event occurred on October 19th, 1987, seeing the Dow Jones Industrial Average drop more than 22% in a single day? What was this in the culture referred to? This day was referred to as the Dow Jones dropped more than 22% in a single day.
Oh, okay.
It must have been a Monday.
Right. Yeah, okay. Was it like, because we've had various kind of like, because I remember in the UK, I think in the early 90s, we had Black Wednesday. Was it like Black Monday or something like that? Because it's always, every financial crash is called Black something.
Yes. Black Monday. Yeah. Black Monday. Now this one, I don't know if you'll get, but you might. A plane crash in Detroit in August of 87 killed 156 people, but there was one survivor. What airline was involved in this tragedy? Your hint is that it no longer exists.
It no longer exists. Pan Am?
No. Any other guesses?
No, that was my swing.
Good guess. It's Northwest Airlines.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
Let's get you one more category. You've had some hard ones.
Something good. Come on. Room for something good. Something that I don't.
Prime time rewind. So this is TV. I feel like you'll get them. They're usually pretty easy.
Okay.
Prime time rewind.
Okay.
These are the top rated, according to Nielsen ratings, TV shows for the fall 87-88 season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 1. This spin-off of a long-running sitcom followed the adventures of Denise Huxtable at a fictional historically Black university, becoming an instant smash hit.
Oh, so it's a spin-off. So it's a spin-off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, what is the title of that show? So it's a spin-off from the Cosbys, because the Huxtables were
Correct.
the Cosbys. But what was the title of that show?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen an episode of it?
No. I know that there was the Cosbys was shown in the UK, but I don't remember any of the spin-offs being shown.
Oh,
so
okay.
is it like...
Give up.
I
feel like you're close.
Is it like called like A Different World or something? Or
it is called A Different World, Scott.
Oh, brilliant. Yes.
Good guess. Very good. Okay. Number 2, what popular ABC comedy, which debuted in the fall of 1985 and featured a beloved family of 5. So it was the second most popular show in 87.
Right.
But it debuted in 85.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Family of 5. Consistently placed among the top-rated shows for this season. It was on ABC. Not that helps you at all.
No.
But think of the 80s.
Think of the 80s.
A Family of 5.
Family of 5. There's so many American sitcoms that have got family something. I'm just going to guess one of them. Again, a lot of these family ones didn't seem to... I don't remember them being aired in the UK. Family Matters?
Great guess. That was probably maybe a little later. This is a white family.
Oh, it's a white family.
Okay. The mom is blonde and the dad has dark hair. And it's 3 kids, and it's a boy, a girl, and a boy.
Okay.
And then later in the series they introduce a 4th child. I don't know if that's helping you at all.
It sounds familiar.
Their last name is Seaver.
No, I'm not getting it. Sorry. I failed again.
Growing Pains.
Growing Pains? I don't remember that show being on in the UK. No. And
it's a good one.
Is it a good one? Because generally when like I was a big fan of sitcoms growing up. So if like a new sitcom, be it British or American, was on telly, I would generally watch it, but I just don't remember it. Maybe it was shown in the UK and I just wasn't aware of it. But, I see.
Number 3, this 87 debut series featured an undercover police unit of young-looking officers who posed as students.
Oh, I do know this one. It's 21 Jump Street. Yeah.
It is. Good job. Have you seen it, or you just know from the movies?
No, I've not really seen it, but I'm aware from the movies, and I know that that's kind of like where Johnny Depp started and whatever. Or like it kind of became big through that.
Big, yeah. Yeah, like he became a heartthrob from that.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing pretty good considering that a lot of this wasn't shown in the UK. Okay, now this sitcom became second highest rated show of the 87-88 season, aired for 8 seasons and focused on the lives of a beloved doctor and his family.
Doctor and his family.
The wife was a lawyer.
Okay.
It was the original show to which A Different World was spun.
Oh, it's the Cosbys.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. I did wonder. I was like, so the spinoff appeared like in the same year, but
at the
same time. That's weird, but like, yes, no. And the Cosbys was shown in the UK. I remember it was shown on Channel 4, and I remember watching it. Yeah.
It was a good show. It's kind of too bad nobody can enjoy that anymore.
Yes, that has been forever. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This one, I don't think there's any problems with. It's an enduring workplace sitcom set in a Boston bar.
Oh, it's Cheers.
For its witty dialogue.
Cheers. I've seen lots of episodes. Yeah. I think I've seen every episode of Cheers.
Yeah. Okay, good. See, you did pretty good considering. That concludes this portion of the time capsule, everyone. Join us next time to see what trivia questions lie ahead. All right, Scott. So, John Hughes, what do you think? Any thoughts that you would like to share, generally speaking? Did you grow up watching his movies or not so much?
No, I definitely grew up watching his movies. So he's kind of been part of my movie diet for kind of as long as I can remember. I must have seen, I think maybe because like I was born in the mid-80s, which means I think I kind of saw his films back to front to some of your other guests, because I was introduced to like his family comedies first. I would have seen Uncle Buck when I was like maybe 5, and then I saw the Home Alone movies, and I saw the movie we're going to cover, and and Great Outdoors and all those kind of movies at a very young age. And I also remember that Home Alone 2 was actually the first film I ever saw at the cinema.
Really?
Yeah, that's right. I would have been about 7. And then I kind of came to his teen movies like Ferris Bueller and Breakfast Club and those types of movies when I was entering my early teens. So like when I was about 13, 14 is when I started seeing those movies. So I've seen like a lot of his films. And actually, because I've been enjoying this season so much, I've been watching the ones I haven't seen as you've covered them. So there's ones like Class Reunion and Nathan Hayes and Curly Sue and a few others that I hadn't seen that I've watched, just after you listened to your episode on them. So I have now seen a lot of John Hughes. According to my letterbox, I have seen 24 of his films that he's written, and he is my second most watched writer on Letterboxd. So,
who's the first?
We don't talk about him. It's
okay.
He's a bespectacled Jewish man who's not generally talked about so much these days.
Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. I know. Well, thank you for listening. First of all, I too have been surprised at the number of movies that I was like, oh, John Hughes had a hand in that, huh?
Mm.
Because I had older siblings, I watched the teen ones when I was a small child.
Mm-hmm.
And then also kind of at the same time that the Kid Fair was coming out in the 90s. So I feel like you had the better, more appropriate experience. When you were a kid, you were watching the Kid Fair.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you were a teenager, you were watching the teenage stuff. So that makes sense. All right. Shall we get into Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It came out just in time for Thanksgiving, November 25th, 1987. It's rated R, which I'm glad that it is, but I think it's only because of the F-bombs. And I read, interestingly, listeners, our dearest here lives in New Zealand, and I read that in New Zealand, it had a PG rating only. I guess they're more forgiving there.
It must be. Yeah. No, it's funny because until I kind of looked into it, I wasn't aware of that either. Because, I mean, obviously, I was born and raised in Scotland, and I'm a recent New Zealand transplant. I just emigrated here 4 years ago. So, but yes, I also read that. I was also quite amused because, yes, it does seem like it was that scene alone that got it the R rating in the States, because he drops 18 F-bombs in a minute, which is impressive.
It is. And valid. I would have been in the same headspace as he was in that particular scene. Yeah, for sure. So this has a 7.6 on IMDb, which is really high.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's beloved. There aren't that many Thanksgiving movies, but this is one I think a lot of people cherish. It is written and directed by John Hughes. This is one where he did both. And I did read that frequent John Hughes collaborator Howard Deutsch was the original director for this movie. However, after Steve Martin agreed to play Neil, Hughes decided that he wanted to direct the movie himself, in addition to writing and producing. Eventually, he and Deutsch switched places on 2 films. Hughes originally was set to direct The Great Outdoors, which opened 7 months after this movie. But when Hughes was unavailable to direct that movie, which he also wrote and produced, he gave Deutsch that directing job. And this is a lot of lore with John Hughes, that he writes things very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Purportedly, he wrote this one in first draft in 3 days, and that his average writing time for script in those days was about 3 to 5 days. But then it came with 20-something rewrites.
Right.
So but
fair.
I don't know what the rush is. But in an interview,
sure.
John Hughes says that Those Aren't Pillows. He said he was inspired to write the film story after an actual flight that he was on from New York to Chicago, and it was diverted to Wichita, taking him 5 days to get home. So it's based in a true, actual life happening.
Yes, inspired by true events. Probably more inspired by true events than some movies that have inspired by true events at the start of the film.
Indeed. Yes, agreed. So you guys, I'm sure, so this is going to be your Thanksgiving episode. We had 2. Dutch was also a Thanksgiving-y episode. But if it's been a minute since you have seen this, it is the story of Neil Page, an uptight marketing exec, with Del Griffith, a well-meaning but annoying salesman, who become travel companions when their flight is diverted and embark on a 3-day odyssey of misadventures trying to reach Chicago in time for Neil's Thanksgiving Day dinner with his family. That's that. We have Steve Martin playing Neil Page and John Candy playing Del Griffith. What do you think of our stars here?
Oh, I love both John Candy and Steve Martin. I have been a big fan of them both from a very early age. As I mentioned, I first saw Uncle Buck when I was 5, and that immediately fell in love with John Candy. That was amazing. And also, around a similar time, at a very early age, I saw The Three Amigos, and I totally fell in love with Steve Martin. So I have always been, from a very young age, a big fan of both of these guys.
Nice. So is this a regular, like, annual movie watch for you, or what's your history with the movie? Why'd you choose this one?
I don't know if it's it's not annual, but it's a movie that I've seen a bunch. I have seen it quite a few times, a number of times as a kid, and also, So I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, but I would estimate it would be in double figures, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about who some of our players are. Neil's wife, Susan, is played by Layla Robbins. She has a very specific look about her, but she didn't look familiar to me. She's been in a number of things. Did she pop out to you as anyone you know?
It took me a while because rewatching it this time, I was like, I recognize her face, and I don't understand why I recognize her face. But the thing that, watching it this time, the thing that came back to me was I realized, because I was like, oh, she's got a very young face there. And I was picturing her older. And the thing that came back to me, because I'm into like kind of comic books and stuff, there's a TV show based on the comic books, The Boys. And she is in that. She plays a character in that show. She's not one of the main characters, but she's a regular in it, and she comes kind of in and out of the show. And I was like, that's what I'm sure I've seen her in other stuff as well, but that's what I was picturing. That's why I was seeing her as older, and because that's a more recent show from the last couple of years.
Sure, good eye. She's also in An Innocent Man, True Crime. That's a movie, and then a number of TV series. Murder in the First, the series, not the movie.
Yep.
Homeland, the series.
Homeland. Yes, she's in that as well. Yes, I remember her from that as well. I can picture a character from that as well. I can't
quite picture who I can't. Also, Gabriel's Fire, and then she played young Livia Soprano in 2 episodes of The Sopranos.
Oh, no, I don't remember
the young version of her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's Layla Robbins.
Yeah.
And then we have Michael McKean, who is... So as we'll kind of talk about, there was a much longer cut of this movie than what we have.
Yes,
so
I read that.
Originally, Michael McKean, who plays the state trooper, had a much larger role than what he actually has for being like billed so early. So, a lot of those Christopher Guest movies, A Mighty Wind, This is Spinal Tap, and then Clue. And probably most recently, I know him from playing Saul's older brother in Better Call Saul.
Right.
Can't remember his name is that. And then he was famously Lenny that was before our time, but Lenny in Laverne and Shirley TV series.
I mainly know him for his Christopher Guest movies, the Christopher Guest movies that he's collaborated with, because like This is Spinal Tap's one of my favorite comedies. And also, he's great in Clue as well. That's also a great 80s film that if people have not checked out, they definitely should.
Clue is good. I need to squeeze that into a season. I'll figure a way out. But you guys, we talked about Michael McKean last season. He was in Used Cars with Kurt Russell, and he plays a very similar character to his Lenny persona. So the guy who played Squiggy in Lenny, they were in it together. So that was just kind of like a fun wink for the audience to have Lenny and Squiggy in that, because that was in 1980, and people of that time would have all seen Laverne and Shirley. So anyway, Michael McKean. Then we have Dylan Baker, who plays Owen Moody. He's the guy who lets Neil and Del ride in the bed of his pickup truck. God, why can't I say that? He's a super familiar face to me. What do you know him from? What did you?
So, like I mentioned with the comic book thing, he is in Spider-Man 2 and 3 as Dr. Kirk Connors, aka Lizard Man. So I know him from that. And I also know him from he plays a very sinister character in a very, very dark, very bleak comedy called Happiness, which is something that I don't generally recommend to people because, like, you need to have a specific sense of humor to go with that. But yeah, Happiness is a deeply fucked up film, but it's also great. And so
that sounds familiar.
That's the things that I think of when I think of Dylan Baker.
Yeah, well, God, I'm gonna have to check that out again. It sounds very familiar. He actually was nominated for an Emmy for his role in The Good Wife. I hear a lot of good things about that series, and I don't watch it, so I can't think just off the top of my head who he plays in that. He played J. Edgar Hoover in Selma. He was also in Homeland, the series, just like Layla Robbins was. He was in The Americans, and there was a TV series called Murder One that he had a long-running recurring role.
I remember that show.
And then the daughter, Olivia Burnett, the reason I bring her up, the character's name is Marty. I don't think we ever know that, but that's Neil and Susan's daughter. Was in the Torkelsons TV series on Disney. And then I just thought this was interesting because I can't place her. She plays a homeless woman in 10 episodes of Sons of Anarchy.
She does? Oh,
did you? Yeah,
yeah. No, I've seen every episode of Sons of Anarchy. I've got the box set.
But
she
doesn't have a name. She's a homeless woman in 10 episodes. So I can't remember. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it.
It's been a while since I rewatched the Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, so yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, if next time I rewatch the box set, I'll have to look out for that.
Yeah. Be like, oh, that's the girl, the daughter that we see for 5 seconds. Yeah. We get a crazy cab driver who has a hydraulics car, like a lowrider car. The character's name is Doobie.
Yeah.
And he was played by Larry Hankin. Do you know Larry Hankin?
I recognize his face, but I can't picture him. Also, we should point out, I don't know how comfortable people would feel in that cab because it's entirely decorated with porn.
What do they say? He's like, are we about there yet? He's like, oh, I thought you'd want to take the back roads because if you're on the interstate, all you see is the interstate. And Del is like, this guy's proud of his town. Yeah, it was an interesting vehicle for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. But he apparently was in a short film that he was nominated for an Oscar for called Solly's Diner in 1980. Solid working actor, but anybody who has ever seen Friends, the TV show Friends, he is Mr. Heckles.
That's where I recognize him from. Neighbor. That's where I recognize him from. Yeah.
The upstairs neighbor.
Of course.
Yes. Now, Neil Page Jr., the only reason I bring him up is because of who played him. Matthew Lawrence, that's Joey Lawrence from the 90s. Mm-hmm. That's his younger brother. And he played Jack on Boy Meets World. He was also one of the kids on Mrs. Doubtfire. And then there was apparently a whole series around these Lawrence brothers called Brotherly Love. And have you ever heard of the show Give Me a Break with Nell Carter from the early 80s? You may not. It was early for me to even watch.
No, I don't. Like some of the other shows you mentioned there a minute ago, I remember watching Boy Meets World and stuff like that. But no, I've not come across that one. No.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, but it was like an early 80s show. And I loved it for some reason. Nell Carter, and she takes care of these. So she is like I don't even know if she's like their housekeeper, but she's a black woman, a large black woman who cares for the children of the police captain or something, and they're white. That was very much a thing in the 80s, that kind of a dynamic. Mm-hmm. When the kids started to get too old to be interesting, they'd introduce a new kid.
Yes.
His brother Joey was the new kid that was introduced to that show.
Right, I see.
And I think his name was even Matthew in it. So he was the new kid introduced him Give Me a Break. Who's seen Give Me a Break? I really liked that show. And then the reason that I wanted to bring up Carol Bruce, this was her final feature film for Carol Bruce playing Neil's mom. And she was Lillian on WKRP in Cincinnati. And she has movies going back to the 40s with This Woman Is Mine. So there's some old people in this. George O. Petrie plays Neil's father. He's kind of familiar. He was in Baby Boom with the late, great Diane Keaton now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Recurring role as the elevator operator in Mad About You. Lots of TV stuff going back to the 40s as well. Walt is Susan's father, played by Richard Hurd. And then Peg, Susan's mother, is played by Diana Dill, or she also is known as Diana Douglas. I think Dill is her maiden name. The reason I want to bring her up is because she is Michael Douglas's mother.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
She was at one time married to Kirk Douglas. She was born in Bermuda, which I did not know. And she was in 834 episodes of Love is a Many Splendored Thing, playing a character named Lily from 1970 to 73.
Jesus. I guess that was like a daytime soap or something, I guess.
Must have been 380 episodes. It's Mary Claire Pogo and Three Steps to Heaven from 1950 to 54. So these are some like old-timey actors. Just finishing out the cast, we have Kevin Bacon in this. Did you see him at the beginning of the movie?
Yes, indeed. With the taxi rate at the beginning, yeah.
And there's a John Hughes connection because Kevin Bacon was in a John Hughes directed and wrote She's Having a Baby in 1988, so the year later. And when Neil calls his wife at some point, that movie is playing in the background. So it came out later, but they had already had footage of it to be the movie playing in the background. So that was interesting. We have 3 people in this movie that were also in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Do you know the 3? Scott?
Do I know the 3? Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Well, I mean, Edie McClurg's in most of them, so Edie McClurg's got to be one, right?
Yes, Edie McClurg. She's the car rental agent that tells him to fuck off.
Yeah.
Or you're fucked. No, she says you're fucked.
Yeah.
After the fuckity fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. After all that.
Bueller, the guy who does that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ben Stein.
Right.
That's who that is.
Yep.
Ben Stein. He's, I think when they're in the Wichita airport, he's, I don't know, on the loudspeaker or something.
Oh, and yes, the guy who who announces the flight is cancelled just after they have the conversation of you'd have more luck doing pickup sticks with your butt cheeks just after that conversation. Yeah.
Good memory. Good. And then Lyman Ward, who played Ferris's dad.
Yeah.
That's the actor. I don't know if he was in the credits or not, but he was the other at the beginning when they're like pitching their ads to their client in New York, and he's really indecisive, the guy. So it's Neil, Steve Martin, and the other guy in the boardroom.
Yep.
That's Lyman Ward.
That's Lyman Ward. The guy who says you'll never catch the 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you go with me? I got the 8 o'clock. You're never you'll never make it. Yeah. That guy. Yeah. So 3 people from Ferris Bueller. John Hughes definitely has his people.
Yeah.
The music in this is a frequent Hughes collaborator with Ira Newborn, also did 16 Candles, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller, Uncle Buck, and then non-Hughes movies, Mallrats, Ace Ventura, etc. So he's very well known. Do you have any thoughts in particular about how the music was done?
Yeah, I mean, I like the music in this movie. I think just everything about this movie is just like, I know it's a Thanksgiving movie, not a Christmas movie, but it kind of falls into that. In terms of its messaging and stuff like that, it kind of falls into that Christmas movie kind of wheelhouse. And I think like the music perfectly fits that kind of holiday spirit vibe as well. You know, I think pretty much everything about this movie is pretty on point, I would say.
That's fair. And it wasn't like a big smash or anything. It was made for $15 million and made just shy of $50 million. So that's good, but it wasn't like some big blowout movie. But I think it's developed a really strong following even after. And John Candy was nominated for Funniest Actor in a Leading Role at I don't know if these awards still exist, but at the time, there was such a thing as the American Comedy Awards.
Oh.
So, Scott, do you, when you're traveling, I mean, clearly the movies like this are purpose, it's polar opposite type people. We have somebody like Neil, and then we have somebody like Del. Del is a hard name for me to remember because I've never met a Del in real life.
Right.
So there's uptight and cranky or chatty and chaotic. Which are you when traveling?
Oh, so yeah, I'm definitely uptight and cranky, and
Okay.
yeah, because there's just a lot of things to think about, and also much like Neil's character, who might be undiagnosed, I have OCD. So traveling can often be quite stressful.
This is true. Especially for a person with OCD. Definitely. Well, speaking of, can you imagine if you're sitting next to someone in a plane and they start taking not only their shoes off, but their socks and like waving them around?
That would cause me all sorts of anxiety.
Would you say anything to the person?
I am generally confrontation averse. So I like, there's a fair to even to fair chance that I would just be, curled up, stewing in my own juices kind of thing, rather than making a fuss.
You're like, you just wait who I'm going to tell about this afterwards.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'd just be like, this is a story. This is.
Yeah. What's the closest like disaster type travel experience that you've had? Has anything come close to a planes, trains, and automobiles type excursion?
The closest disaster was basically one of the biggest disasters I've had traveling. Well, there's been a few, I guess, but when we were coming over to New Zealand in 2021, which was still during the pandemic and all that, we flew over and we had a layover in Malaysia. And it wasn't like we didn't disembark the plane. It was like just basically a refueling stop. And my partner at the time was travel sick. She was being travel sick. And they gave her like a pill for like travel sickness. And then they became convinced that she had COVID or whatever. And they were like, no, she's just throwing up because it's just the motion sickness. It's just the motion sickness. And we pleaded to get on the plane. And we're like, no, don't kick us off the plane. It's fine. She's just travel sick. But they were like, oh, no, the captain's not sure about the safety and da. So they basically kicked us off the plane. And then,
even though you've been sitting there, she would have already gotten everybody. You know what I mean?
She didn't have COVID. She genuinely just travel sick. So we got kicked off the plane, and a lot of pleading, and we were like, oh my god, what are we going to do? And then, basically, because I had like a partner visa, we had to enter New Zealand on a certain date. And like my visa would be like, it would just like expire. So basically we spent 2 days in a hotel in Kuala Lumpur airport. And we just a variety of furious phone calls. On one hand, because like I say, it was just a refueling stop. It's not a regular stop on their flight. So we had to phone Emirates and be like, can you pick us up, please? And so we had a variety of back and forth calls to Emirates. And also, we had to phone the New Zealand embassy and be like, please, can I get an extension on my visa to enter the country? Can it be extended by a couple of days? Because it was going to lapse. And basically, I wouldn't be allowed into the country. I like the partner visa thing wasn't going to, kick in. So, I am here in New Zealand, so obviously it does have a happy ending. But it was a very stressful 2 days in an airport hotel in Kuala Lumpur.
Oh my god! And just all the things having to line up just so to work out. Yeah. Wow. I got stuck for an extra week during COVID in Ecuador. Yeah. And I test every day. Yeah. And we weren't sick. Mm-hmm. Like we didn't know we had, but in order to come back, we had to take a test to come back. And my friend and I were positive, and so we couldn't come back to America. And so we were like, okay, well, we got to stay. And then you can't go. It's not like we could have done cool things in Ecuador. We just had to stay in the hotel the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
So we binged Breaking Bad on Netflix for a week. and we paid for a nurse to come to our room and give us a test every day and just hope. And finally, after a week, it was negative, and then we had to rebook our flights home. So that was probably the closest thing that I've come to a planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah.
In an extra week in Ecuador.
I guess that reminds me, the final part of my story is like when we were coming into New Zealand, that's when they were still doing quarantining. So basically you had to spend, you arrived here and then you had to spend 2 weeks in a hotel, like quarantining before you were let out into the world. And yeah, that was an experience of having a fortnight just being kind of mainly locked in your room, apart from when occasionally you're allowed to leave your room. You had a 30-minute walk that you were allowed once every second day. That was in a kind of it was in a car park that was part of the hotel. And you had to just walk in a circle because you had to walk in a designated form, just like in a prison yard in a circle. And like literally, this would be over, and you weren't allowed to run. You were only allowed to walk. And this would be overseen by a member of the New Zealand Defence Force, like an army member.
Dude, you were like in prison,
basically.
yeah.
And there was it was like 2 weeks in that, and the only other time you were allowed out your room is like when you were getting your COVID test to make sure that you made sure you were COVID free, and then after
Wild
2
times.
weeks we were released into the world and came down to Wellington.
Oh my gosh. What a wow. You had to really like each other to be forced together 24/7 for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we did all right.
Well, so speaking of things happening now, how do you think this, as with a lot of these comedies like this, I wonder, would it work if there were Uber or smartphones today?
Probably not. It wouldn't work in the same. No. With Uber and the various different other Uber style companies, it wouldn't work the same. I think there's much more easier outs of this situation now. You would have to work hard to try and replicate a similar situation, and
it's hard to be stranded now. It's
hard to be stranded now. Absolutely, yeah.
I guess they could lose their phone or whatnot. This movie does a really good job of combining a lot of slapstick with really, it'll be like all fun and games, and then it'll really hit you like gut punch with a really heartfelt moment. And because this has such a high IMDb rating compared to some other road trip movies, do you think is that part of why what makes it so memorable? Or what is it about planes, trains, and automobiles that, as you put earlier, hits all the right points?
I think so. I think it is that mixture. I think it's a mixture of, it's a movie that like has a funny bone. It is a movie that has a certain intelligence to it, and it's a movie that has like a lot of heart. And I think like that mixture of giving you clever moments, sweet moments, and just like really silly moments, I think it's just like, it just has a perfect combination of all three. And I think that's what kind of pushes it ahead of maybe some other ones that maybe lack the sweetness or don't have the intelligence or play it too straight. This has a really good combination of those things.
Agreed. Because I just recently did Dutch, and actually just this morning covered Home Alone 2. So in both of those, I had criticisms that they're, holiday movies supposed to be reminding people who have a lot, just remember to be kind and be grateful, and if, lend a helping hand. And in those movies that happens, but they fall short of true generosity. So I think in that they don't invite the person in. It's that person still is homeless. In the case of Dutch, a homeless couple drops them off at a mansion and they're like, call me on Monday, I might be able to give you a job. Meanwhile, they're going off to nowhere for things, like invite them in, like close the loop on that. Or similarly with the bird lady, the pigeon lady in Home Alone 2. And so I feel like this, I finally got my, I've watched these all in close succession. And so I feel like I finally get an appropriate Thanksgiving gratitude holiday ending where the growth of the people involved in the adventure actually leads to some real tangible kindness and generosity. Because in this one, guess what? Neil actually does bring Del home. to meet his family and probably ends up staying there for a while. So that alone like elevated this movie, I guess, since I've just watched a couple of other ones recently.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. There is a real sweetness to this one, and there's a real arc of growth there, and there's a real kind of like bond of friendship that is growing the movie, of just being like these two guys who are, well, one of them's incredibly irritated by the other, but they grow to love each other over the course of this mad journey that they have together over a few days. And so I think that does really hit home. And also in terms of like your classic 80s freeze frame ending, like ending on John Candy's beaming face is absolutely heart melting. It's brilliant.
They had that something similar in Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
And there's a few movies that have that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I love seeing the pre 9/11 travel. And again, I've just watched a few movies in close succession where there's like airport travel. And I'm like, oh, how nice would that have been to just show up half an hour before your flight leaves? Also in movies, 80s movies especially. Now, I have been to New York, but I feel like in the 80s, it is portrayed to be impossible to get a cab in rush hour.
Yes.
So I assume that to be true. And the only thing that I can liken it to is like nowadays attempting to get a Lyft or an Uber or whatever your rideshare home after a big event lets out, like a big game or a concert or some like stadium sized event. It's nearly impossible to get a ride home. That's the only thing difficult. I can equate it to.
Yeah. No, I've seen like I've never been to New York, so I don't know. But yeah, I assume it's really hard to get a cab in New York. There's actually recently, earlier on in the year, I watched a movie that was kind of almost entirely centered around that. It's a Bill Murray comedy called Quick Change, which is the only movie that's directed by Bill Murray, or he co-directs it. It's the only movie directed. And it's really funny, and it's about these bank robbers, and the whole comedy is like they're just trying to get out of New York, and they just can't.
They can't. They can't get out.
They're like they're constantly. Yeah, I won't spoil the ending to whether they do or do not. But like most of the movie, they're just desperately trying to get out of New York, and they're just failing. It's really funny. People haven't checked that out. Quick Change is another one that we're doing.
Quick Change with Bill Murray. All right, I'll add that to my list that is ever growing. Okay, so the kid that steals money, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Firstly, they have to sleep together on this tiny bed, and they get robbed in the middle of the night. And Neil thinks that Dell stole the money. They don't learn that they've been robbed because he doesn't take anything except for the money in their wallets. So they're going to breakfast, and Neil thinks that Dell stole $700, and they realize that they've both been robbed. Okay, so I had to look up. I was like, that sounds like a lot of money to just be walking around with in your wallet. That's like $2,000 now.
That's what I thought as well.
Who walks around with $2,000 in cash in their wallet?
Yeah. I was thinking, that's wild. Even if you're going on a big trip, like out of the country, you wouldn't just have all your, travel money in your, because I was struck by that as well. I was like, $700, that'd be like, that doing that 1987 to 25 conversion that you've obviously done. I didn't know it was 2,000, but I just knew that it'd be a lot of money. And I was like, why would anybody be walking around with that much cash just in their wallet?
And it was just a quick trip. It was like just for like a business, like a presentation there and back. He was to New York, back home. So I don't know if that was a thing in the 80s or if that leads us to believe that they have a lot of money. I mean, the houses in these Hughes movies are always really nice. So I don't know, but that was a lot. And then that robber, the cut scene, it just shows like a kid. By kid, I mean, I don't know, late teens, early 20s. So the version of the movie that we have, we don't know who he is. It's just a kid that steals their money. It makes more sense knowing that there was a scene actually cut where he was the pizza delivery boy and he got stiffed for a tip or only like $1 or something. And then, so then seeing him come back to be the robber made a whole lot more sense. Whereas in the theatrical version, it's just some random person.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, because I did read that there's like a lot on the cutting room floor. Heard that there was like what he originally filmed is something ridiculous, like 3 hours and 40 minutes.
Yes.
And then that was cut down to 2 hours, which was test screened. So the original cut I don't think has ever been seen by an audience anywhere. Then there was a 2-hour cut that was test screened, and then it got cut down to the 90 minutes or 93 minutes that we now have or we're familiar with. So yeah, I'd be very interested to see what that original cut was. Like I the unedited version, but that's
I know.
a very
I know
long
it
movie.
had more of Michael McKean, because I don't think in the movie we have they go to Wisconsin at all.
No,
But what's cut is somehow they like overshot. I don't know how, but they were driving and get stopped by the State Patrol, Michael McKean. I didn't pay attention to this, but I read that his badge says Wisconsin State Patrol. So there would be no reason for them to be in Wisconsin. But part of it was like, he's like, oh, no, you overshot. You're way out of your way. So they drove an extra day out of their way or something.
Oh,
So there was some of that also cut.
wow.
They bulldoze out of the motel at the end with a car that I can't believe was able to be running. And then they just drive on away and end up home through a series of fake goodbyes. It's really, actually, I feel like you'd better describe, I'm glossing over the sweetness that they finally get to Chicago and they say goodbye. And then it takes Neil a minute to realize, like thinking back through their conversations, that Del doesn't have anyone to go back to. What did you think about how the way that they portrayed that to us as the audience?
Yeah, so it's an interesting scene because I think like Steve Martin's reactions, they kind of keep coming back to Steve Martin's kind of like reactions to his own thoughts kind of thing. And like he, you know, he's initially wrapped up in kind of imagining seeing his family again, imagining Thanksgiving dinner, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then he kind of starts going over again in his head his conversations with Dell. And then he has kind of his Kaiser Soze moment of realizing, you know, what's going on with Dell, what's happening in Dell's life, and how he is alone. And it goes from being this really sweet moment of this guy really looking forward to reconnecting with his family again after it being longer than it was supposed to be, but then thinking of his new friend, and then obviously feeling kind of crestfallen, and then that kind of what inspires him to go back and get Dell. And then we have this really tender emotional moment where Dell kind of admits like how alone he is, how his wife had passed away 8 years previously, and he's just always on the road and always alone kind of thing. And it's, again, like Steve Martin's kind of touch reaction, you know, we cut back to his face, really sells it. And like John Candy delivers, you know, his kind of speech about being lonely, which apparently in the longer cut is much longer, that speech, but it's edited down for the version we got. And it's, like, I do think that if you're not touched or moved by this scene, you really do have like kind of a heart of stone. Like I you know, like I have like a dark humor, and I can, you know, sometimes feel like I'm quite cynical, but this is, heart melting stuff every time. Yeah.
Same. Yeah. It takes quite a bit to get a tear twinkling down my eye. Yeah, but same. John Candy's really good at it. And just the juxtaposition of Steve Martin is like a no nonsense. You know, he's been annoyed this whole time. So it really was the right people. If he got Steve Martin to turn, he should get anybody to turn, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the end with the family. It was interesting, though. It seemed like their reunification was like he'd been gone for 7 years, but it's been gone for 2 days.
Yeah, the way everybody, like
the wife.
Yeah, the way because so like that is quite funny. Like in retrospect, while you're in the moment of watching the movie, you just think this is a beautiful, touching sequence. But then afterwards, when you're thinking about it, the way the wife comes down the stairs, it's like he has come back from war.
No, for sure. When the wife was coming down the stairs, did you see the post-credit scene?
Yes, I guess many of these movies, and also I watch some Marvel movies and stuff like that, so I generally watch to the very end just in case. And I know like a couple of John Hughes movies do have I know that a couple of them have post-credit scenes, so I was like, oh, maybe this one will have. And I kind of forgot, despite the fact of how many times I've seen this movie, I kind of forgot that it did, actually. I couldn't remember if it did or not. It's quite a funny one. And it's the boss.
It is.
The boss still looking at the fashion photography, which is pretty funny. And I recognize that actor too, because that actor...
No.
Yeah, that's right. Because that actor plays Dr. Seth Hazlitt in Murder, She Wrote. He is a regular character in Murder, She Wrote.
I'm surprised you watched being so young. I'm surprised you've even seen Murder, She Wrote.
Murder, She Wrote was regularly repeated on the BBC during the afternoon. And because I was a sickly child who was quite often off school with asthma or migraines or whatever, it was the kind of thing that I would watch with my mum while lying out on the couch, like sick.
That's adorable.
I think nearly every episode of Murder, She Wrote. I'm a big Murder, She Wrote fan. Yeah.
My mom was a big Murder, She Wrote fan, so I watched it as well. It's on some rerun channel here, so I'll catch it from time to. Actually, when I leave the house, I always leave the TV on for my dogs, and I'm like, oh, they'll watch Murder, She Wrote. That's what I'll put on for them.
It's good comfort television for dogs. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I thought it was like, he's still indecisive, that guy. So moving on to trivia, I thought this was hilarious that Steve Martin said he thought John Candy's performance in this film was his very best, which that's great, very sweet. But he said it's that Candy himself had a lot of very similar qualities to the character he was playing, that he was a sweet guy, very sweet and complicated. So he was always friendly and outgoing, funny and nice and polite, but he could tell that he was a little broken inside.
No.
But on a more positive note, he said that John Candy arrived with exercise equipment to use for production. Crews had installed a treadmill, bench press, weights, and other exercise gear in his hotel suite. Steve Martin said John Candy never used any of it.
That's very funny.
He was like, I'm going to work out on this set. He never did.
That's cool. That's cool. I also read a very cool story about John Candy. Apparently, he invited like a bunch of people who worked on this movie to the Oscars. And like, apparently he footed a bill of like $1,000 of room service for all these people. And it was just like, it's on me, it's cool. Which is, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Because again, $1,000 in 87 or 88, whenever this was. Yeah.
Back in the day. That is nice. So there was snow in this, and it was expected to snow, which was conducive to the story. So they waited in Illinois for it to snow. But then because it didn't, they ended up having to move to Buffalo, New York to film. Then they had made all this fake snow as well. And then the house used for Neil's family home is actually in Kenilworth, Illinois, on Warwick. And the house used in Home Alone was on Lincoln Avenue in Winnetka, one town over. They did look very similar, the houses, I thought. Home Alone.
Yeah, I kind of assumed it was maybe the same house because they looked so similar.
I guess they were one town over from each other. Did you notice that? I think it was the Ben Stein where they're in Wichita and the airplane employee announces that the flight's been canceled. You can see on the board that the destination is nowhere. Like in the movie, it says nowhere.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't catch that one. There's some like little moments like that I did catch. There's definitely some things in this movie that I wouldn't have caught as a kid that I'm like, that's quite funny. Like, for example, like when Neil first like formally meets Dell at the airport, Dell is reading a novel that's like an erotic novel called The Canadian Mounted, which made me laugh.
And because he's Canadian too,
yeah,
isn't he?
Yeah, he's Canadian as well. Yeah. So there you go.
I love little things like that when you can rewatch them and keep finding new things. Yeah. I guess the plane, the aircraft in the flight, they reused from the movie Airplane, which was also from Paramount. So that I guess makes sense. Yeah. But that was 7 years earlier, so they just reused that. The instructions from John Hughes for Edie McClurg. I guess a lot of what she said on the phone to her sister. Edie McClurg is the rental car agent. And I guess a lot of that was improvised. So Hughes told her just to simply riff, just make up some fake phone conversation with someone about Thanksgiving plans. So while Steve Martin remains waiting in line, she came up with the idea to speak with her sister about who was going to bring what, adding, I can't cook. And then Hughes asked her how she came up with those lines so quickly. And she replied that, like his scripts, she just drew it from her own life. And she also claims that to this day, random people ask her to tell them that they're fucked. I like that.
That's good. That's cool. Yeah.
From the time Steve Martin starts his tirade to the time that the attendant ends the scene, in that 60 seconds, the F word is used 19 times. Had that not been the case, it would have been rated PG or maybe even PG-13, except for that one scene. And I'm glad they kept it in and got the R rating. I'm happy for it.
It's so good. It's so good. It's Steve Martin at his very best, and like he really tears into it, and it's every line in it he delivers 100%, and it's just every line is like so funny. It's just, and the amount of times that like that kind of tirade comes back into my head. 4 fucking wheels in a seat. It's great.
On a fucking flight. And his physical acting is so good too. We feel his frustration. So that's well done, Steve Martin.
I think that whole sequence shows off the kind of full spectrum of Steve Martin's like comic ability, both in terms of like the rant gives him the great, like the way he can verbally deliver things. But even before that, before he gets to the airport where he's tripping down that snowbank and stuff like that, there's just some great physical pratfall. So you get the full spectrum of Steve Martin's comedic abilities in that segment in the movie.
Indeed. I was just going to touch on the trunk that Del is carrying the whole time. Like, what a pain in the ass piece of luggage that requires basically 2 people. The famous trunk in this movie apparently is currently owned by Candy's daughter, Jennifer. And I just love that.
Oh.
So John Candy's daughter has that trunk.
Cool. That's real nice.
Did you read about the original ending, though, that did not test well? Did you read about this?
No, I don't think I know about the original ending.
So the scene where at the end, near the end, where Del reveals to Neil in the L station that his wife Marie has been dead for 8 years is certainly touching. However, as it was filmed originally, it was much, much, much darker. And they tested this and it did not go well. So they changed it. Del pops open the lid that both these men had been hauling this trunk throughout their trip to reveal Marie's mummified corpse within it.
Jeez.
That was the original version. That doesn't seem in keeping with the movie.
No. I can see why that tested badly, because that's like that. I could see that working in a different film, like a darker comedy. But this isn't a dark comedy. Like. Yeah, I mean, this has different types of comedy in terms of its verbal comedy, its physical comedy, or whatever. But it's never it never delves really into dark humor. It's very sweet through much of its running time. It's very in the kind of holiday spirit type movie. So I think I can see why that. I could see what. Usually, I like kind of like dark comedy like that, but I do think that would be ill-fitting for this film. Yeah,
I agree. And clearly, test audiences overwhelmingly agreed as well. So they were forced to film a happier ending. And I like the happier ending that we got.
No, I agree. Yeah, definitely. I prefer the happier ending. Yeah.
The late Roger Ebert from the Chicago Sun-Times considered Planes, Trains, and Automobiles the most perfect road trip buddy movie ever made. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely up there. It's definitely... As terms of road trip buddy movies go, like, I can't think of many that I would place above it. Also, I will say, though, that, like, a one that is definitely competing that I also think is a perfect road trip movie is Midnight Run. Robert De Niro has never been funnier than he is in Midnight Run. And Charles Grodin is also amazing. So, like, that, I would definitely say that's in competition as well.
Agreed. You were much better at being able to pull out of the ether a movie. I couldn't think of one, but Midnight Run, it's a popular genre. Even like Vacation is similar with a bunch of mishaps and things like that. I do really like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, but I think I disagree with Roger Ebert, even though I would have to think for a while to find another one. I do really like this movie, but I don't yearn to rewatch it a lot. Like a lot of people do. I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it because I like all the things that are happening. I like these two actors. I like comedy. I like John Hughes. I like Chicago. It's just, there's something missing in this for me.
Okay.
And I can't quite put my finger on it. But there's talk of a remake of this. A few years ago, there was actually 2 potential remakes, one with Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler, and one with Kevin Hart and Will Smith. And the Will Smith, Kevin Hart one still has some talks of like potentially a 2027 release. So I don't know. We'll have to keep our eye on that one. What do you think about that?
I'm not really into it, I have to say.
And who do you think would play who? Kevin Hart plays Del.
I guess Kevin Hart plays Del and Will Smith plays Neil. Yeah. That would be my guess. Yeah, I'm not a big Kevin Hart fan. Sorry, Kevin Hart fans, but yeah, I don't really find him that funny.
He got oversaturated. I think that was his problem. He was fine, and then he was in everything, and everybody got sick of him.
Yeah, that's maybe possibly it. I did used to be quite a big Will Smith fan, but I've not. I kind of gone off him a little in recent years, so I don't know. I mean, I still do like him. I watched the most recent Bad Boys. That was pretty fun. So
So listeners, what do we think? Are we inviting this remake? What do you think? Could it be good? I don't know. It's really hard to. Sometimes when they do movies like this, it's sort of like it's a money grab because people will see it, I guess, but you're kind of setting yourself up for failure in the eyes of nostalgia or quality because it's hard to beat Steve Martin and John Candy together. I also read that John Hughes originally wanted Tom Hanks to play Neil and John Travolta to play Del. Hanks was too busy. He was doing Big. And Paramount execs did not want Travolta because at that time, he was considered box office poison.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice little dig there. And some other what ifs for Del: John Goodman, Dudley Moore, Bill Murray, and Robin Williams. They were all considered. Do you think any of them could play Del?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like it would be. Goodman would probably be the closest analogy. I think Goodman could do it. I think he'd be all right. I think John Candy is the perfect choice, but I think Goodman would be a good backup. And then, Robin Williams can do a good mixture of sweet and manic. But I mean, I guess that would be like it would be a different energy, I guess, because like even post him getting off the cocaine, Robin Williams always had the cocaine energy, which is like, very different to Candy's energy. Yeah.
Less endearing. And Bill Murray, we got that movie, and wasn't that What About Bob? I think John Candy was the perfect one. For Neil, others considered Chevy Chase, which that's no, because of Vacation. Michael Keaton and Rick Moranis were considered. I can see Rick Moranis maybe.
Yeah.
But I like Steve Martin.
Yeah. I think, again, we've talked a lot about the kind of sweetness of this movie, and I think Moranis kind of fits in that. Whereas, not only just because of the Vacation movies, but like, Chevy Chase can be funny in things, but he doesn't have a kind of endearing quality. He's always kind of a smarmy ass.
Correct.
And you need like an endearing side for this character to work, rather than just being like an uptight, crabby guy,
Yeah. No, the nail on the head for sure. Boy, the time goes fast. I can't thank you enough, Scott, for joining me to reminisce about 1987 and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles just in time for Thanksgiving. What are your closing thoughts about this movie? And then tell us where we can find you.
Okay. Closing thoughts. I think this is a great movie. I've seen a lot of John Hughes movies. This would be probably my second favorite after Breakfast Club. And yeah, I'm a big fan. I think everybody is firing on all cylinders. John Hughes, John Candy, and Steve Martin are all at the peak of their powers, and so you definitely got to check that out. I think it's endlessly quotable. Like, that F-word rant is great. The kind of, some of the lines that John Candy comes out with about picking up sticks with her butt cheeks, and I bet $6 in my right nut that, we're not landing in Chicago. And there's so many quotable lines in this movie. There's so many kind of fun, kind of visual highlights as well, like when they nearly crash their car into a couple of trucks. And then you get this flash of them both as skeletons, and then you get this flash of John Candy as like the devil. And John Candy does a hilarious bit where he's just constantly readjusting his car seat, and that's like a joke that, like, feels like it's going on longer than it should, but then it comes back around to being really funny. There's just so much in this film. So I love it. I think everybody should, if they've not rewatched it in a while, they definitely should. And if they've not watched it, then they should definitely check it out. As for me, you can see me on Facebook and Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. All 90s Action All the Time has pages there. You can check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and your other podcatchers. We have been going for, like 4.5 years or something like that. So there's like now 74 or 75 episodes, something like that, for you to check out. Nice. If you want to check out my other podcast, New Horror Express, which is now finished, it is still up on the website, newhorrorexpress.com. There is 185 episodes of that for you to enjoy. And then Bloody Sam coming in December, where I will be covering the 14 feature films of Sam Peckinpah. And I'm sure Katie is going to join me in both projects for All 90s Action All the Time and Bloody Sam at some point.
Love it. Can't wait. Lots of fun stuff. Well, wow. I loved how you put your closing thoughts about the movie. Really well said. And you can tell that you love the movie. I do very much like the movie. I don't think I put it in as high regard as you do, but I still very much enjoy it. And that is our trip down memory lane with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It is a perfect mix of chaos, heart, and John Hughes magic. If you enjoyed this episode, consider dropping a tip through the Captivate support link in the show notes. It does truly help keep Retromade rolling. If nothing else, take a quick second to rate and review the show. It's the easiest way to help more nostalgic souls find us, because we need all of them that we can get. Until next time, be kind, rewind,